That's a great question. This is a kaleidoscopic emotional experience about what it means to be alive and what moments are important.
That, I couldn't do better than that. Yes, it will make you reflect on the meaning in your life.
I like to consider myself somewhat of a professional talker. And since I spend my days and nights creating videos hoping the world will one day discover them, he's fallen for the trick. Now, time to execute plan B. Or the second part of the plan. I think I've chosen the right path. But some movies simply transcend the idea of a review and leave professional talkers like me in silence. For 2 hours, we sit and consume both the major and the minor details of one perfectly ordinary man's life. We learn about his love of dance, his respect for mathematics, and fear for the coming future. The movie begins at the end of the known world. From flooding to earthquakes, it seems as if our world is preparing to say goodbye. But as all whole things become splintered, we are repeatedly shown the same message in different forms. Charles Krantz, 39 great years. Thanks, Chuck.
Hold on, pause this shit. What the fuck is going on?
As conditions worsen, the message appears more and more frequently until we reach the final evening of what turns out to be the universe's existence. The message now appears glowing in every window of every house. Who the hell is Chuck? 39 years of what? Guys, I'm telling you, no one in the area seems to have a single fucking clue who this guy is. Huh. Something we have in common, I feel.
Please! Please!
Suddenly, the stars begin to go out. Then, the world goes dark. It's over? As this all goes on, we get a glimpse of a man in a hospital bed, with family members sobbing around him. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all Act 3 really gives you in this film. Wait, Act 3? Yeah, this movie begins with Act 3, and is simply titled, Thanks, Chuck. Act 2, or Buskers Forever, what the fuck does that mean? Takes us back 9 months to enjoy the sunshine on a healthy looking Charles Krantz. Ah, so you're Chuck. Chuck is an accountant. He has a wife, a kid, and apparently he's fiercely loyal. Aww. Chuck, today, finds himself walking in the direction of a local busker, playing drums for dollars. Chuck, upon noticing, stops in front of her, and Chuck starts to dance. A street of passing pedestrians quickly morphs into an intrigued crowd around the young drummer and the dancing Chuck, before he puts his arms out and asks one of the audience members,
Come on, little sister. Let's dance.
So they dance, bouncing from rhythm to rhythm until the narrator informs us that in 9 months, Chuck will be dead. No! This dude is so fucking awesome! Why him? Take me! Take me! A beautiful performance comes to an end. The drums get packed up, and people move on with their lives. Chuck decides to have a stroll with the young woman he shared the dance with. The two share a smile and go their separate ways. And we move on to Act 1. Act 1, or I Contain Multitudes, is the final section of this film, covering Chuck's life from age 11 to 17 and touching on his relationship with loss. First, he loses his parents and unborn sister to a road accident. Then, a few years later, his grandparents that took over the job of raising him succumb to death themselves. Oh, by the way, his granddad is actually played by Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker, the Chosen One #2. I kind of just wanted to say that. It doesn't really have much significance. Nerd. Anyway, during this time, we learn the origins of Chuck's love for dance and his respect for mathematics. We learn that the cupola in his grandparents' house that he has been forbidden from entering is in fact not filled with ghosts, but visions of people destined to perish. And Chuck goes up one day, at 17 years old, and sees himself in a hospital bed. To put it simply, this story is about Chuck, an ordinary man. He lives an ordinary life and dies an ordinary death at the age of 39. And with him dies his wonderful imagination. This broken world we see at the beginning is merely Chuck's degrading health, and the effect a brain tumour is having on his beautiful mind.
Honestly, I left 99% of the important details out of this breakdown. As, to be honest, if I'd included everything special in this movie, the review would be as long as the runtime, or we'd all be a bit fucking bored, you know? Just go and watch the film, guys. I promise you it's worth it. Why is it worth it, you might ask? Let's get into the review. The Life of Chuck is a film I will think about for the rest of my life, as it's had an immediate and deep effect on my psyche as a whole. Films like this, ladies and gentlemen, are why I do what I do. Experiences like this, moments like this, just sitting there thinking, yeah, I picked the right career path here. I really did. The storytelling in this movie was absolutely fantastic, capturing events in a perfectly ordinary man's life in a way that just hooks the audience from the first minute all the way up to the last. Chuck is a beautifully written character whose electric personality is consistent even through actors of different ages. Tom Hiddleston, though, simply glides across the camera, for me putting in what I would consider an all-time great performance, something really career-defining for the man. And the direction from Mike Flanagan is what I, a commonly stingy film reviewer, would just consider flawless. Each scene drifts so calmly into the next, which is so impressive considering how different the tones are and the mood shifts between scenes. It just feels like they all piece together so well. I thought the dialogue throughout the whole film was just so impressive and eerily human in the way it sort of drip-fed all of the themes of the movie so slowly to the audience, while sometimes maintaining its ability to be a callback to scenes past in the film, like the way later in the film you had so many lines repeated from the imaginary world at the start of the film, just not in a way that got annoying, but in a way that made you just go, oh yeah, I've heard that before. As a whole, The Life of Chuck just as a film put so many smiles on my face as a film reviewer, as it felt like such a breath of fresh air in comparison to the cinema we've been getting recently. A cinema of rewrites and remakes, and yeah, this does come from a Stephen King novel, but it's different when it's a remake of a book rather than a remake of a film that's already been fucking made before. I don't know, you know what I mean? You know what I mean. The film's ability to make you sad, scared, happy, joyful, melancholic was just mesmerizing, and the way it can just change how you feel every few seconds if it wants to. You can be enjoying a moment and then the narration can just rip you straight back out and put you firmly back into the real world. It's unlike any other movie in that way, I think, the way it's able to blend such polar opposite emotions into a single scene, being able to make you excited for the moment while simultaneously dreadful for what you know is coming later on. The end of the film's first act, Act 3, especially just sent a real shiver down my spine, with the moment everything goes black mid-dialogue, representing all too well the reality of a cold and emotionless universe that doesn't care to let you get your last line of "I love you" out. Like most films, it would be "I love you," then it goes black. But in this film, it's "I love you," and it's over. It's just little things like that. I just appreciate the respect I feel like I'm being given as a viewer throughout scenes like that. Realism in that way doesn't seem all too much to ask, but you would be surprised the amount of just bullshit cliches we're just seeing all over Hollywood these days. It's also that feeling of smallness you get from the end of the first act that just readies you to attach to a character like Chuck, as he's the personification of the hopeful, small human. He's the face of calmness in a chaotic world. Calm, even though, we find out later on, he knows what his fate is going to be, but still retains the ability to stop and dance if he feels like it. I will stub my toe in the morning, I'm gone for the day. It's over. You drum in front of me, I'm just going to be fucking raging inside, you know? Performances all across the board in this film were uniquely cohesive in the exact ways they all should have been. Each character complementing the next and painting this beautiful vision of a combined, hopeful human species. You see, this is something so rare in great movies these days. It's all too easy to dramatize and empathize with struggle after struggle. So when you get an unbelievably hopeful film and you feel so much empathy towards this hopeful tone, that really isn't something I think we can look past. I'd say it's much easier to write a sad story than a happy story, yet this film is able to be both, and you're able to be empathetic to both sides of the coin. Boom! I love that shit. That's what I'm here for. Give me more of that. From dancing to tears, this film is as real as it gets. You know, it sucks that this isn't a 5-hour podcast because I could just keep this freestyle going. I love this film, if you couldn't already tell, and I strongly, strongly, strongly recommend you go and watch it and tell me how you feel. Maybe I'm overhyping it. Maybe I'm reading too finely between the lines. Let me know. I don't care, and I don't think so, but come on, just let me know. For me, the film has no flaws. A perfect runtime and a perfect moment. And who the hell would I be to not give what I consider a perfect movie a perfect score? Yeah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Today's rating of The Life of Chuck is going to be a 10 out of 10. A perfect score. The channel's first perfect score. I think this is the channel's first movie I've rated over a 6.8, I think. But regardless, this film was absolutely incredible and is going to sit in my top 5 of all time for a long time. Video breakdown of my top 5 of all time on the way at some point, I'm sure. But anyway, this is where I, Billy Liar, take my leave. But think of me from time to time, and if you feel so brave, come back and hit that subscribe button. If you do, or if you don't.
I love you anyway. See you later.